when a racist mob, when a racist mob basically decided to attack a bunch of black people. They burned down blocks, and over 300 people died in that massacre. Now, I did that short course on history to talk about this. January 6th, we saw an insurrection, which was galvanized by a racist president, a president that's extremely an extreme idiot, and we're appalled, we're shocked. But as Malcolm said, was this an example of the chickens coming home to roost? I don't know, possibly. But I feel it's hypocritical for us to be ashamed, for us to be appalled, for us to be flabbergasted about the fact that the U.S. Capitol was raided by somebody that perpetuated the rhetoric that this country was built on. So the same rhetoric of racism, the same rhetoric of seeing black people as the endemic other of this society that's deserving of second-class citizenship, that same rhetoric that has propped up a Eurocentric standard has came back full circle against its own government via Donald Trump. So do we castigate Donald Trump? We should, because he inspired that insurrection. I think the people involved should be in prison. But we also have to question why we never atone for racism. Why have we never atoned for the various types of destruction and conquering and a myriad of other things in third world countries that we've supported? Why haven't we atoned for those things? And that's more of a rhetorical question. I know why. So we have to get to the point where we begin to heal this society by truly understanding what made this country what it is currently. And what made this country what it is currently are things like the invasion of Florida under Andrew Jackson, are things like Manifest Destiny, are things like the fact that Abraham Lincoln, after the Civil War, he didn't really want to keep black people here. He wanted to have us go to Haiti and Jamaica. He did not want black people to stay here. Matter of fact, in Virginia, after 1808, and after the Nat Turner Rebellion, one of the arguments was like, hey, we have to get black people out of this state. And one of the concepts or ideas essentially was to send black people in Virginia to Liberia. And there actually was a law here that if you were a freed African, you had 1 year to leave the state or your emancipation was gone and you'll fall back into slavery again. So they did not want free people here. And it was illegal if you were a free African to try to come here and actually stay in Virginia. They wanted us out. But we are Americans. We are tied into this culture. We've been imperative in the tapestry of this country. And until we have real conversations and begin a real systemic process to heal, then we're going to see more Donald Trumps. We're going to see more Tea Parties. We're going to see more Proud Boys. Because we're trying to act like the disease that has crippled and slowly killed this society is not there. When your answer to Black Lives Matter is all lives matter, that's the problem. When your answer to Black Lives Matter is Blue Lives Matter, that's the problem. And the Blue Lives Matter thing is racist. Because if Blue Lives mattered, then why did a police officer lose his life at the behest of the domestic terrorists, which I'm going to call them, the domestic terrorists that invaded the Capitol? A police officer died. They killed a police officer. So blue lives don't matter. Blue lives only matter when it comes to the subjugation of black people. Blue lives only matter when it comes to killing innocent black people. Then blue lives matter. But when it comes to an insurrection where you have a quasi-dictatorial autocrat despot of a president that encourages people to go and try to invade the Capitol, and not only that, but try to kill and attack and hold senators for ransom, blue lives don't matter then. Oh, because it's affecting mainstream America. And that's the narrative. But we have to stop looking at Eurocentric standards as the way to be. We have to be inclusive and we have to work to get there. Because guess what? This is not over. Guess what? Police brutality is not ending. Guess what? Systemic racism, as far as getting approved for bank loans, auto loans, mortgages, is not going anywhere. Food deserts are not going anywhere. Because we have a disease of racism that's predicated upon ignorance and stupidity that is slowly killing us and stopping this society from living up to the potential that it truly has to be. And if we don't speak out and if we stay quiet, this is a quotidian thing that will occur again and again and again. For example, Riley Williams was one of the young women that actually stormed the Capitol. She made it out of the Capitol with Nancy Pelosi's laptop. Nancy Pelosi's laptop, matter of fact, I'm pretty sure has some really sensitive information on it. What Riley Williams attempted to do was to sell Nancy Pelosi's laptop to Russia. She got a few days in jail and she was let out on bail by a judge. I know you've seen this, but I have to use this comparison. Kalief Browder was in jail for 3 years without a hearing. Got out, and what he went through was so heavy he committed suicide. And that was for allegedly stealing a backpack. Well, this woman participated in an act of domestic terrorism. If this doesn't show you the asymmetrical nature and how we treat race in this country, I don't know what will. Let me look at the time. Trying to make sure I'm staying on time. And I want to end this podcast with this tonight, or this evening rather. Biden is not going to fix our issues. Trump is not going to fix our issues. We have to fix our issues. What I will say is this. One of the aspects of fixing our issues is that we have to become politically literate. And what I mean by that is this. We can't continue to go along with narratives of conspiracy theories and of these clandestine groups that sit somewhere in a secret cabal and make all of these shadow movements that control the government. Because while we're sitting back and we're pontificating on all of these conspiracy theories, various other nonprofits, organizations, and different demographics of people are lobbying. They're getting real change done systemically by approaching their delegates, by approaching their senators, by approaching their congressmen, by approaching their mayors. And they're getting real things done. For example, here in the state of Virginia, in 2020, undocumented residents or undocumented immigrants are now able to have a driver's license without being full citizens here in the state of Virginia. How did this get done? Let me tell you how it got done. I work near the Capitol. I saw those people there day after day after day with a clear, objective agenda of what they needed and wanted to get done. They were there. And we have to begin truly, if you're going to pay taxes into a system, then why not have your voice seen politically behind a specific candidate? And what we have to do is to treat these candidates as what they are. They are public servants. A candidate is not your leader. They are a public servant. That's what that office is about. They are public servants. And we have to begin to treat them as such. And if we're not really holding their feet to the fire, but we can find time to talk about QAnon conspiracy theories, this is counterproductive. And I'm going to close with this. The end of, I think, December, they tried to pass the stimulus package in which each American would get $2,000. Mitch McConnell shut that down. One guy shut it down. Okay. Recently, the Democrats had the majority in the Senate, and McConnell wanted the Republicans to retain the power of the filibuster. So essentially, anything that would come through Congress, uh, they could actually veto it and like deny it and get it out of here. Okay, this is what I want to start to think about. The two-party system, or the two-party dictatorship, as Jesse Ventura calls it, is not conducive to the American people. It produces this biopoly that controls political discourse, where all political opinion has to go through those two channels. And if you're outside of those two channels, then you're not heard. And I don't care what anybody says. The Democratic Party sabotaged Bernie Sanders' campaign twice. That's the truth. Two different times, each time he ran, the Democratic Party, the DNC, sabotaged Bernie Sanders' chances at winning. And even on CNN and MSNBC, when Bernie was leading initially in the primaries, these were left-leaning networks or Democratic-leaning networks that was talking about how does the Democratic Party stop Bernie. That's dangerous. The fact that these two political parties can stomp out any other opinion that doesn't fall within their channels. And if that's the way the political discourse and the political channels are controlled in this country, nothing is ever really going to truly change. And this is why I advocate vote in independents, third-party people. Small examples of this is, for example, back in 2010, Charles Barron, who ran out in New York, who was an independent. In Mississippi, you had Chukwu Lumumba, who became mayor out there, who didn't fit the Democratic or the Republican Party, and he was voted in. So we have to begin to look for and vote in third independent party candidates, because truly, change can happen. I'm not saying none can happen. You have people like AOC who really trying to take things in a different direction. You do have people like that, but even her, she has to capitulate to the Democratic machine. Even Dr. Ron Paul, who's a libertarian, had to capitulate to the Republican machine. And as long as these two parties can control the dynamics of politics and discourse in our country, change is going to be greatly limited. And that's just the truth. But this insurrection that happened on January 6th is a very long continuum of terror, a very long continuum of, and I'm not saying white people, but of a mentality that advocates violence if it doesn't receive the results that it wants, that advocates tyranny if it doesn't receive the needs or the resources that it can get. This is an amalgamation of a mentality from 1492 until now. And we're actually surprised. We actually have the audacity to be surprised when we see this manifest under the sort of racist rhetoric that Donald Trump perpetuated over the last 4 years. And you think that something like this wouldn't happen? I told people about this. I told people that Donald Trump doesn't care about the Republic of the United States. Donald Trump doesn't care about the voting process. Donald Trump is an autocrat. He wants to be a dictator. When he had those videos on YouTube where he joked about being president for life and having a third term, these are things that you heard people like Benito Mussolini say. These are things that you heard people like Joseph Stalin say. These are things you heard people like Adolf Hitler say. You don't play when the president of the United States even hints at the idea of having a third term or being president for life. And you think that a person like that who made those sorts of jokes would not attempt to incite a riot on the Capitol because they did not win an election? You have to be kidding yourselves. History shows you where he was leading us. And that's just the truth. So listen, as we go forward through this year, I want you to start to check out independent candidates. I also want you to become more active in your local government. I also want you to put your congressmen, your council people, I want you to put their feet to the fire. Keep this in mind. They are public servants. They are public servants. Politicians are public servants. They work for you. Your taxpayer dollars pay their salary. Therefore, hold their feet to the fire. Because as long as we don't, a few things, like I said, we're going to see a lot of stagnation through this two-party system. But then also, on top of that, they have nobody to hold them accountable. Listen, this has been episode 56 of No Truths Barred. And I want to thank you for tuning in. And listen, I'm proud of where I'm at with this podcast. I'm proud for all of the listenership. And I hope you continue to join me on this journey. And make sure you follow me on Instagram. Like I said, at Hoyt, HOYT _Kwaku, KWAKU _Timmons, that's TIMMONS. Follow me on Instagram, same handle, and also _ No Truths Barred podcast. Listen, I love y'all. Take care, stay safe, and peace.